don't even know what to say about all this. I like it flumps my mutton is the most kind of out there. It clops my pony. This is all dreadful, and it all made me smile as I saw it as I was making my tea. So hello, hi everyone, hello. Welcome back to another episode of... Episode? I don't know what these are. These are streams of Lyrebird Edits. So Fictitious, hello. Ernst, hello. Outrider, hello. What are you supposed to Parrot do to deserve that? Or Parrot. Give me a sec. Hang on. Alrighty, there we go. Now we have some good light. Okay, well, hope everyone's been well. I had a strange night yesterday where... Actually, it was a strange day. I sort of felt like I didn't wake up at all. And I had a good night's sleep as well. Which makes it even stranger. Even more strange. Rather than stranger. It was just one of those days where I felt like I wasn't really awake. It wasn't lack of coffee, it wasn't lack of sleep, and it wasn't nerves or anything like that. It was just a day where I didn't feel like my brain was working. So, Friday night seems to be the go. That's you today. Ooh. Maybe it's like a time delay kind of thing where I get it first and then you get it second. It's an awful feeling. It's just bleh. That's the wrong side for my hair. That's also the wrong side for my hair. Now, where did we get up to last time? This is Ernst's story. That clops my brain. Oh, I just can't wait for that to get out of the stream. The last thing I remember about Ernst's story, this is part 4 of Solera. And last time we took a good chunk of the opening section of this more comedic style of writing, and we got up to here, I believe, which is where the sort of Sound of Music scene ended. It came to a close, and we also had this throwback here. That's right, so I think we're up to here. That life perpetually, ooh. The reservoir of honey brain. That's fantastic. Not fantastic for you, but like as a turn of phrase, that's very, very nice. Trickle down sleepiness. Hey, if it works for the economy, it doesn't. But hey, if it works for something, then it'll trickle down. Okay, good. I think everything is fine. Stream quality is good. I can hear myself. My phone's here. Yep, I'm streaming through that. Okay, all good. Well, guess we should kick off for tonight. Let me complain about something first. Nebulous elbow pain. Like, I don't know what it is, but when I rest my elbow on a desk all day, I get pain all up and down my arm. And it feels like it's deep nerve pain. I don't know. So I'm gonna be just trying to ease that pain out all night. Nebulous elbow pain. That's what we come here for. So here's what here where we ended up last time. Now I'm going to zoom in a bit. Yeah, that looks good. In positive news, I have Miss Herringbone's schnoodle at my side. Schnoodle. I don't know what kind of breed I assume that's a dog. I could be very wrong. I'm going to guess Schnauzer Poodle. A schnoodle is a cross between a Schnauzer and a poodle. Nailed it! Oh, it's adorable. They're adorable dogs. Nice. Rider's elbow. Is it a legit thing? Wow. Rider's butt. Wow, okay. I feel less lame now. Like, now that it's a recognized thing and not just my body being substandard or stupid, then yeah, wow, okay, cool. Ulnar nerve compression. Wow, okay. How do I uncompress my ulnar nerve? Give me some medical advice over a Twitch stream. But But yeah, hope you guys have been good. Hope you guys have been good with no ulnar nerve compression to ruin your life. All right, well let's dive in. I'm gonna read this chunk out. I'm gonna go back and do an edit. Where we left last time was at the end of this really nice scene here, where we start off with the sound of music and how it sort of weaves in throughout the whole narrative in quite a funny way, and ends in something that's sort of quite sad, funny and sad. I just want to refresh myself. This is Maxim. That's right, the main character is Maxim. Down here. An amputation, it's the only option. Okay. Yep, that sounds legit. Lyrebird amputations. I'm expanding. Move your arm more frequently. Just off stream tonight, I'm just gonna be... Staying alive. Staying alive. Yeah, I was Windows was updating in the background. It should be okay now. Let me know if it's nice, or if it's still a bit laggy. Yeah, BGs. I gave him an uncommitted wave back across the street, but this. I give him an uncommitted wave back across the street, but this doesn't dissuade. He beckons me over. Hello, Rich. The turtleneck makes his chrome dome look like a teed up golf ball. Maxim, my earnest felicitations for your latest piece. It was simply sagacious? I don't know what this word means. I mean, yeah, I know that word. Sagacious, having or showing keen mental discernment and good judgment, wise or shrewd. Everyone knows what sagacious means. No, I've got it. With his head emerging from a turtleneck, he looks like a baby mid-birth. I'm gonna highlight this because I think we can do something there to make it fun. Oh, you didn't have to come see it. What with how busy you must be and all, the Von Trapps could have fled the Nazis over that bulbous brow. It's really good carrying it forward from the last little segment. It's all in the job, dear Maxim. Someone's got to tell the sheep where to flock. I notice a second coffee steaming across from Richie Rich. Richie Rich notices that I notice. A rotten smirk brews across his face. Oh yes, I'd ask you to join, but I'm already engaged. His eyes catch someone over yonder. Oh, here she is now. Cordelia DeWitt. My shooting starlet. How beautiful she looked on that dreary 1st September Monday of Drama 101. How elegantly she played Eliza Doolittle in the graduate production of Pygmalion. Pygmalion? Pygmalion. How, oh my gosh. Pulchritudinous, as Dick might say, she looks now, swaying her svelte bottom into the seat across from Van Turtleneck. I try to / and, oh no, yeah, suggest. I tried to summon some sort of sentimental moment we had shared, but the best I can realize is of tactically lagging behind her on the lambda staircases to watch her bum go bob, bob, bob. Why had I always remained an audience member to her graceful, flawless existence? Cordelia, this is Maxim Hendricks. Lagus Majoris, still? It looks okay. Give me a sec. No, it looks fine. Let me know if it's still bad. Cordelia, this is Maxim Hendricks, you know, star of Coming Out of the Coffin. Oh, lovely to meet you. Her wavy bob thing haircut frames a plaster print of Brenda Back's face atop a Audrey Hepburn figure. I think you need to put an Audrey Hepburn figure, LBD and all. Some of these references are going over my head, and I know who Audrey Hepburn is, but I don't know what LBD is. It doesn't mean it's not relevant, it just means it's whoosh to me. Sorry, I'm terribly out of the loop. I haven't heard of that one. Oh, okay, yeah, well, yeah, ditto me. The finely executed sort of shotgun of shame shoots itself through my stomach. Your point, Rich. Oh, I can't blame you, Richard, which makes me admit, it's just a small project at Turpin. The one I was telling you about last night, the review Rich adds, say, you should go, Delia. It's always fascinating to see what's going on in the amateur circuit. Lovely. Perhaps I will. Her smile is a sugar-coated knife to the ego. My intestines play jump rope as our eyes meet. Not a glimmer of recognition. Hmm. I know, like, it's here, it's like, it's mysterious. I think the wind must be blowing in a strange direction. Sydney way. Or from Sydney. Okay, let's cut there and go back to the start. So as always, I think with the opener here, we've got a fairly good setup. Coming out of the last section, because it was so strong and so very firmly ensconced within its own past tense frame, we should probably be a bit mindful of coming back to the present and how that feels for the reader. For example, if we go back up here and throw ourselves back here. Oh no, sorry, it's not even here. It's I decided to go play Spot the Alumni in West End, new section. I can hear the people sing through the muffling brickwork of the Palace Theatre. Old Theatreland, where dead dreams come to haunt. A memory stirs. It's 1981. I've convinced mother to blah 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 blah. So well, it's not blah blah blah. It's all good. But like from that point forward, we then slip into memory. Now coming back into the present would be nice to have like a little bit of cushioning, mainly because we have another section break. Section breaks are always a bit of a two-edged sword when they differentiate different sections. So for instance, we have a section here that's told in the coffee house, and we have this section here which is like a street memory, but because of the way in which the past tense event is told to us, it spills down from here and here and here, and it's such a strong scene that we can't very readily just jump back in here into the present tense with a section break. The solution is to just make it a bit more padded, and to give the reader a bit of cushioning as we throw ourselves back into the present tense. I open the mental Venetians back up to the present, that's a really good way to do it. Peer out across Greek Street and set my eyes on a heinous sight. Richard Van Oppenheimer waves his little hand at me like the Queen. This is great. I think it needs to be a tiny bit longer. Here. So what I would do is, I'm going to make a comment here. This is a great way to reintroduce the reader back into the present tense from a memory scene. To help that cushioning effect along, I'd like this to be one sentence longer. Why? Because I think that there's merit in cutting it here and then describing in a block sense, like repainting the scene over the experience that we've just had, and then going straight into Richard Van Oppenheimer. I feel like that would be a really good way to ease us back in. Really simple fix, and I think we were 90% there to begin with. The light is blinding now as I open the blinds, and it spills in through the Venetians. So if you wanted to do something like that, you could slow the pace down with what Outrider SG was saying, which is definitely a valid consideration. You could pull the brakes here, push the brakes. You can do whatever you like with the brakes. You could slow it down here, or you could cut it here and make a new sentence. There's a whole variety of stuff that you can do. It's very versatile. And there's no advantage in doing it one way or another. It's just about what fits. But the important thing is that we have that cushion, and then we go straight forward from here on in. Richard Van Oppenheimer waves his little hand at me like the Queen. He sits with legs crossed, encased in tight white trousers with a matching turtleneck fleece begging to strangle his twiggy neck. So instead of getting the narrator to describe his revulsion, like from seeing Richard Van Oppenheimer, we get it through descriptions of his clothing, and I think that's really clever because it's two birds, one stone. You get a block description of what the character looks like, but then you have an emotional kind of response as well. No, I think that came out pretty well, Outrider. So kudos to your phone thumb skills. That's a mouthful to say. He sits with legs crossed. No, I've just read that. A red scarf drapes lazily around his shoulders. He looks like a homosexual BG. I give him an uncommitted wave back across the street, but this doesn't dissuade. I'd like this expanded, please. Expand, please. It's a tell. And I think that you could make it stronger if you just showed us what he was doing. So, show us how. I think this needs two things. I give him an uncommitted wave back across the street, which seems like it's part 1 of part 2. So this feels like it's part 1 of part 2. Like there are two actions. That there is a coupled action that takes place, but we only get one. E.g., he waves and then turns his head. It feels like it needs that little extra piece there, but this doesn't dissuade. Second thing, but this doesn't dissuade. Dissuage. But this doesn't dissuade. I'd like this to be shown to us by way of Van O's body language or visual reply, like an intensifying of the hand wave, so to speak. That's the kind of thing that I'm after. I just realized that sounded really kind of authoritarian. This is the way I want it, and my way is the best way. Only other thing I may comment on is the red scarf. I think this works because it's ended with he looks like a homosexual BG. And I think that's a fair way to... As I said before, it has that two birds, one stone effect, but in addition, it's so strong that I think it just works, even as a declarative statement. It's very much like, hey, listen, this is what it's like, rather than being like a softer, more woven description, if that makes any sense. So what I'm saying is that it's good, because it's backed up with this. If you didn't have the homosexual BG, I'd probably suggest taking the red scarf out, unless it's important for later, which it kind of is. Mumsy vocabulary, he totally does. There's some crazy vocab here. Hello Rich, the turtleneck makes his chrome dome look like a teed up golf ball. That's quite a mouthful, but I can imagine it, so I think it's okay. Now, hello Rich, the turtleneck makes his chrome dome look like... Only comment here is about the... since the dialogue-ui is on the same line as the description of... as the description of, I'm going to call him RVO himself. it strictly speaking reads like the man talks about himself. It reads as though RVO says this. It's one of those, despite the fact that it's obvious he's not saying it. It's one of those points where the grammar just, it screws you over a bit. Just put a dialogue tag there and then put a carriage return, or so for example, I grumble out a rather short "Hello, Rich." Something like that. I don't know. This is placeholder, but what I'm getting here is that this can then be all thrown together. The carriage return initially makes it so that RVO is talking, but that's not necessarily the case. It's yeah, it's a funny thing, isn't it? Simple fix though. Also, yeah, Herringbone, if like please feel free to ignore those in-text suggestions. I was just showing how you can do one of those, like, phrase 1, dialogue, phrase 2 kind of setups, I suppose. I guess it works here. But also the way that the description can be woven into. Carriage return. Maxim, my earnest felicitations for your latest piece. It was simply sagacious. Now, I don't think we even need a dialogue tag for this because there's only one way that this can be said, and it's wanky. Like your character can't speak any other way than wanky with this. So you have it in your head already. There's no reason to dialogue tag it. So that's really good. Yeah, good. I'm glad. As long as they're useful, I think the springboarding thing is good to know. Nice. And ultimately that's what I want from you as well. It's not that I want you to have, like, you must use those words that I put in. Absolutely not. It's just more the case that use them as a springboard. As with all my edits. No, I've got it. With his head emerging from the turtleneck, he looks like a baby mid-birth. I highlighted this because I think it needs a little piece before it to link it in. No, I've got it full stop is a weird sentence to have after someone says something, unless you leave us with a little cliffhanger. Tune in next week to find out how it ends. But if you do it that way, the reader is primed to receive it on the... I'm sorry. How old am I? Oh. The reader is more amenable in accepting a phrase like that when you set it up there, here, and you deliver it through here. Oh my goodness. With his head emerging from the turtleneck, he looks like a baby mid-birth. I think one of the things that you'd like to reintroduce would be the red scarf, which would definitely complete the turtleneck red ring, which would definitely look like a baby, like, crowning mid-birth, which is a very, very visceral, raw kind of image, but I think it's perfect for what you've set up here. So yeah, nice one. Oh, you didn't have to come see it. What with how busy you must be and all. The Von Trapps could have fled the Nazis over that bulbous brow. So now that we've got that here, it's a little smoother too. Same line. because if you don't keep it on the same line, this character return indicates that it's the other character. Whereas if you have it on the same line as the first person narration, it indicates that it's his thoughts, his words. I've been pre-trumped your juvenileness. Yay! I'm glad to know that I'm... What does that even mean? I've pre-trumped your juvenileness. I know what juvenileness is, but what do you... I've pre-trumped? When I read it, I thought I knew what it meant, and then I thought about it for a little more. I was like, I don't know what do you actually mean. I have a habit of doing that sometimes, just being like, haha, yeah, I get it. Wait, what? So if I ever do that to you, my apologies. Sean, you need to tell me what a skunk smells like. I've always been interested. Continuing on from our Discord conversation. Oh, in terms of the this section here, the baby mid-birth. When you get back to a keyboard, you could always type it in and let Ernst bear the fruits of your juvenile mind. Oh, you didn't have to come see it. What with how busy you must be, and all. The Von Trapps could have fled the Nazis over that bulbous brow. It's on the job, dear Max, and someone's got to tell the sheep where to flock. I noticed a second coffee steaming across from Richie Rich. Egg carton's not the right word. I noticed a second coffee steaming across from Richie Rich. Does it even need in a little takeaway carton, or is that self-explanatory? Maybe if it's beside instead of across from sounds a bit strange. If you just put beside, maybe you don't even need this as an addendum at the end. I think that'd be okay. Richie Rich notices that I notice. Also, if you get rid of... Yeah, let's be brave. Richie Rich, full stop. Richie Rich notices that I notice, full stop, a rotten spurk bruise across his face. This is great. I really like this. The repetition. Look, you've got Richie Rich, notice, a rotten smirk, bruise across his face. I think this is a really clever paragraph? It's a paragraph, sure, but with all of your dialogue there, it makes sense to have it that short. Yeah, I think you probably don't want to make it too much more than that. I think the one line quips have a nice fluid flow to them, so I probably agree with that person. Sulfur ass, methane, rotten eggs, and dead animals rolled into one adorable little cat badger. Oh, that's nice. Oh, did I miss it? Did I miss your suggestion? Oh, wow. Yeah, there it is. I completely missed that outrider. Sorry. He looks as a baby, he looks as a baby or like a baby. Poppin'. Oh gosh, I'm not gonna repeat that. Oh, wow. That's a really really specific kind of description. Maybe a bit overblown, despite its quite uncouth kind of nature. And as awkward as that kind of description is, this is Outrider SG's comment that is hidden here. Yeah, you've got to pick your battles, or battles. You've got to pick the right occasion to use something that's quite gross and degrading in a sense. This is one of those occasions where I think a description like that probably would be a bit overblown. Whereas this, what we've got here, is better. Do skunks make a noise? I don't know what sound a skunk would make, except for rattling around a trash can. Or am I thinking of a bandicoot? I'm not sure. I get loopy this late. It's where the best ideas flow. Oh, I'm certainly not saying don't use it. I think you just need to think of a context in which that would be an appropriate thing to say. There'd be very specific contexts. And by say, I mean write in a story. Oh yes, I'd ask you to join, but I'm already engaged. These eyes catch someone over yonder. Oh, here she is now. Cordelia DeWitt, my shooting starlet. How beautiful she looked on that dreary 1st September Monday of Drama 101. How elegantly she played Eliza Doolittle in the graduation production of Pygmalion. I don't know what this word means. I've seen it before though. Ah. Describes a person of breathtaking beauty. Nice. Gotta put those spaces in too. Pulchritudinous. Swing us felt bottom into the seat across from Van. Turtleneck. I tried to summon some sort of sentimental moment we had shared, but the best I can realize is of tactically lagging behind her on the lambda staircases to watch her bum go bob bob bob, while I always remained an audience member to her graceful, flawless existence. This is very smooth. I like it. There's not a whole lot of in the present description. It's very much spun around this character. If you strip everything away from this paragraph here and just described it in a narrative sense, Cordelia DeWitt wiggled her way over into our vicinity, full stop. That's literally all that happens here. But what we get is a whole spun kind of story around it. So it's very clever. Chittering and low rumble growls. Huh. Yeah, isn't that interesting? It's a I think there's a word that describes words like that. They are phonetically or visually antithetical to what they mean. I'm sure we can think of some other words. Maybe. If you guys think of any words like that, put it in the comments. Cordelia, this is Maxim Hendricks, you know, star of Coming Out of the Coffin. Oh, lovely to meet you. Her wavy bob thing haircut frames a plaster print of Brenda Back's face atop an Audrey Hepburn figure, LBD, and all. Frames a plaster print. Yep, no, I think that's okay. This is a very chewy sentence, but I think for people with maybe a more nuanced appreciation of all the references, I think that would work okay. Little black dress, nice. Okay, cool, nice. Okay, I think once you've explained that, I'm on board. For me, as an ignorant reader, I probably just gloss over it and put the Audrey Hepburn as like a touchstone of the sentence. I think I agree without like it's very characterful. But unless it's a common abbreviation, I'm not sure people would know what LBD was. That's a dice roll with that one. Oh, there you go. Ah, cool. Which makes sense for the context of the story set in the 90s. So, Ernst, have a think about if you want to gamble on LBD. Common abbreviation. I didn't know it, neither did Outrider, but that doesn't mean that it's not common and that other people would recognize it. So if you feel as though it's a strong way of saying it rather than just spelling it out, or if you feel that it loses a bit of magic from having to spell it out, then you can change it. Hmm. Right, maybe more known to those who wear them. Hmm. I think that's probably right. Sorry, I'm terribly out of the rope. I haven't heard of that one. There's a disconnect here between. Yeah, sure you don't. Sure you don't, Ernst. No judgment. I mean, I don't know what you look like, but I'm going to assume lovely. So maybe you'd look really good in a black dress. What I'd like is to have, um, I want you to mush these together, and here, maybe have her turn to Maxim and give some sort of facial expression. A false sugary veneer. The reason why I suggest that, vernier, no, not vernier. Veneer, oh, that's how you spell it, of course. You lose the fluid dialogue that way, but I feel as though if you have, oh, lovely to meet you, description. Sorry, I'm terribly out of loop. I haven't heard of that one. At this point here, I have to go, wait, what's she talking? Oh, coming out of the cop. Okay, we're talking, okay. So that little figure 8 loop I just did in my head is probably what your reader's going to have to do as well. So nip that in the bud. Keep the flow, the fluid nature of the story going, and this might make it a bit smoother. A finely executed sawed-off shotgun of shame shoots itself through my stomach. Just what it shoots through my stomach. Your point, Rich. Oh, I can't blame you, Rich makes me admit. It's just a small project, Tepid Turpin. The one I was telling you about last night, the review, which adds... no, that's okay. Say, you should go, Dahlia. It's always fascinating to see what's going on in the amateur circuit. Lovely, perhaps I will. Her smile is a sugar-coated knife to the ego, so you don't want to tread too heavily over that with anything that you put in here. This is really good. My intestines play jump rope as our eyes meet, not a glimmer of recognition. It's alright, Al. It's alright, Outrider. A moment hangs in the air like a sour fart, and similarly, I realize my presence isn't welcome. Well, I best be off then, I say. How awfully nice to have run into you here, says the fleeced foreskin. Ha! Nice. The fleeced foreskin. The capital F flew me off. Flew me off. Threw me off, says the fleeced foreskin. Yes, all the very best. So, this is a continuation of the images we had up here. You probably want this here. It doesn't really matter if this is back or front ended, it's so short. But you've got to put comma, says Eliza Doolittle, and I'm on my merry way. Piccadilly Circus is like a circus. Monochrome suits with chilly red noses march like sad monochrome suits with chilly red noses march like sad clowns to the abattoir. Tires screech like monkeys, junkies preach like friars. A big-boned woman shuffles by with a bag of peanuts. Some Parisian busker hoists up a smile as he hugs an accordion. Obviously, American tourists are playing a game of chance with a carny-looking sorts street food selection. A double-decker full of peering eyes look down upon a sideshow of strongman schoolboys doing pull-ups on the underground sign. Ringmaster Bobby waves his arms to guide traffic around a broken down lorry. Billboards remind all of life's merchandise in backlit typeface. I wonder, what role do I play in this big top of life? In this big top of life. Hmm. Okay, wow. That's that's really good. Grammatically correct, extremely long, and um arguably unnecessary, but good. Now, I remember in when we were dealing with Outrider SG's story recently about the knight who flees his hometown and goes into the port city. I remember thinking that a lot of the description that we get from the knight moving through past the garrison at the front and into the city was this sort of description. It's kind of like a snapshot. Except there, it took the place of a couple of pages, like this kind of length. Whereas here we get these very specific descriptions here. While all of them may not be necessary, they paint a scene, don't they? Yay! There you go. Yeah, nice. I'm glad. I'm glad that we were both reminded of it. Outrider, I was thinking of a way in which you could keep some of that detail in your story, but push it along a lot quicker. Doing something like this, like just not copy paste stealing, but using this kind of structure for what you were originally intending. So as your character moves through the city, life flows in abundance around him. Colon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now I'm by the docks, for instance. Like, you don't necessarily have to do it this short, but if you could incorporate something like what you were working on into this kind of structure, maybe that would be a more effective and dynamic way of dealing with those kind of descriptions. Hey, okay, the circus theme will reappear soon. It's very... Oh, of course, yeah, of course it will, yeah. As a reader, I'm really interested to see what happens with this. And I think the reason why it works from an editorial perspective is because of his last line. I wonder, what role do I play in this big top of life? So in other words, what the hell did I just read? Like, why is all of this here? We could just get a one-sentence description of Piccadilly Circus. Like, this would be fantastic, full stop. I walk through Piccadilly Circus and do this, this, this. But instead we have all of this description and it's ended and justified with this, which makes everything crash together in a single idea. So I really like this. Even though, like, it's made up of bits and pieces that are difficult. I think this is maybe... I'll stop talking about it in a sec, but it's a good example of how the usual rules that you follow when you write a story can sometimes be completely swept aside if the structure of it is justified, and if you can see a reason for why this exists. You'd never write a whole story like this. My goodness. Even this is verging into the excessive, but you stick with it and you're rewarded with a really neat way of how it all fits together. So I can't really fault it for what it's doing. But like if it didn't have this at the end, I'd question why it was described like this. And maybe I'd suggest breaking it into a couple of sentences, but I like it. Let's move on. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, good thinking, Outrider, good thinking. Because I think in your case, for those who don't know what we're talking about, or if you're watching later and you don't know what I'm referring to, one of Outrider SG's recent stories that I did on the channel, I'll try and bring it up and link it if you like. Although I may not have the specific. It was called Fade Walker. I think I did it in a single sitting, didn't I? Uh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure everyone here knows of it, but there it is. This is the story that we're referring to. Just if you're a lurker, and I don't know why you'd be a lurker. If you're a lurker, say hello. Say hi. Um, I think you're exactly right, Sean. Its biggest weakness was its length, and I think if you can figure out a way to squish it and make it move forward, um, this is one way of doing it for sure. Sort of a third of the way through. That's right, because it was long. It was quite long, wasn't it? We can come back a bit later and do more. But let's do more of this tonight. A pamphlet finds its way into my hand, and my suspicions about the universe being nothing more than an illusion of consciousness are all but confirmed. I thought this was going to be coincidence. A pamphlet finds its way into my hand, and my suspicions about the universe being nothing more than an illusion of consciousness are all but confirmed. The poster reads, "The Wall's Travelling Circus. Off to wall fun for the whole family. Life imitates consciousness, or consciousness begets life. Come on, come all to the Wall's Travelling Circus tonight, to dwarf all others," cries out a midget in coat-tails. Poor fellow. I stop for too long and his gaze catches mine. "Fine sir, do you enjoy a good time?" he asks. "No, of course you do. Let me ask, where are you from?" His accent attempts American, but poorly disguises European. "Manchester." "Ah yes, just visiting, are you?" His top hat rolls around his head. Performing. Why am I nibbling on the bait? He extends his hand up to me. "Well, from one performer to another, nice to meet you, West End." "Oh no, too commercial, independent." My pride comes out as believable as he's Yankee. "Interesting." A tourist snaps a Kodak moment of myself and the little ringmaster. He gives it no mind. "You mean independent like you're available? Available?" His accent dissolves into Euro something. "Are you looking for work?" That's my Euro something accent. The cogs in my brain are still processing the whole situation. He senses my confusion. We had a clown drop out of our troupe. We're touring England for the next 4 weeks. Are you looking for some easy money? My mind conjures the image of myself in oversized shoes and overalls honking its nose at me. Overalls honking its nose? What would better pave my path to Hacksville than a gig tying balloon animals? No thank you. You know how it is from one thing to the next. I'm going to stop there. There are two things I want to discuss here. Well, it's really simple things. "Come on, come all to the Wall's Travelling Circus. A night to dwarf all others," cries out a midget in coattails. A pamphlet finds its way into my hand. This dialogue. So this here is all abstract. This is abstract, and this is look at those colors, beautiful. Um, pale peach, or orangey peach is a physical description, and everything in pink isn't. This is very much like an abstract, which gives this whole thing the effect of being like it's here, then we disappear. Dialogue. And I don't think this works as elegantly as if it was written a little differently. It's not so much. Oh, no! Exactly, hey! Yes, 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 yes. 100% agree. That's initially what caught me off guard, is that the dialogue comes out of nowhere and then the midget comes. In some sense, there's comedy value in having that bait and switch, but I think because it comes straight off the back of this, let me get rid of all the highlights here. It comes straight off the back of this abstract clause here, which makes it very difficult to reconcile what this is. I kind of get what you were going for, but I think the structure doesn't... It's not generous to what you're trying to do. So this abstract clause here because specifically, I don't know where this pamphlet comes from, and I don't know who's speaking. Until we read on, we don't know where the pamphlet came from or who is speaking. Outrider SG suggestion's good, just put the midget before. Here, better. I think this may work as a more conventional setting. I'm gonna get rid of this, put here, comment. I suggest grounding the scene first before we go into dialogue-y. And that way when I heard that loud, it felt wonky. Cool. Yeah, in that case, we're on the same wavelength. But yeah, good. What does I don't want you to change Euro something. I quite like that. Can you emulate Euro something in the actual dialogue-y too? And that way we get to see what you mean. Which I think would make that a bit stronger too. My mind conjures the image of myself in oversized shoes and overalls honking its nose at me. Grammatically, I think this means my mind conjures the image of myself in oversized shoes and overalls honking its nose at me, which means that these are honking its nose. I don't really know where this stops working, but it doesn't really work in my head. For example, that works better. Perhaps. What would better pave my path to Hacksville than a gig tying balloon animals? I don't like that honky line, I'll edit it out. Are you looking for work? So, today I learned you're something means pirate. I don't know, that gives me a sort of pirate vibe. I'm not sure if he has seen right through me, or he hasn't understood, but he is scribbling a number on the back of the flyer. Here, give this number a call, um, if your plans fall through. He gives me a wink before waddling off into the crowd for more self-denigration. I'd suggest getting rid of a no, and then thank you, but you know how it is. One thing to the next. This is a lot more vague and would also justify the which one's insensitive, dwarf or midget? The smaller person. Don't know what's the term that has more negative connotation, but they that would also make this a bit more justifiable in a human kind of sense. Like, it also comes across as a little less contrived if there's a bit of ambiguity in Maxim not outright saying no. So if he says like a soft no, the dwarf, sorry if that's not the right term, but like the small human may be a bit more sort of, it's more believable than if they keep scribbling down the number and then hand it over, rather than them being a bit sort of purposely thick for the sense of having the story device hand over the note to them. Oh. Dwarf refers to dwarfism. Midget is the prerogative. No, sorry, not prerogative. Pejorative. Well, well then. So we've got, which one was used here? I think you could use either here because the narrator is quite on the nose, I suppose. So regardless of if he's using the more acceptable term or the less acceptable one, there's also the difference between like American and UK language. This is also set in the 90s, it's a bit different, so we can't sort of take today's sensibilities and paste them into the past. Add H's to French it up. Are you looking for work? Yeah, that works. Midget was insensitive, but they have since taken ownership over it, if memory serves. Yeah, that correlates with what I read just then. Keep in mind though, this is 1990s UK, so I don't know what they were up to at the time. Because Americans, UKs, Australians, Canadians, South Africans, we all have our own parallel lanes of what words mean and when. Tricky business. Gotcha. I think for the time period as well it fits. Yes, I know the Muffin Man. Okay, cool. Actually, I just wanted to... Oh yeah, it starts here, circus going through... Yep. Okay, so we're on a walking tour of London. Hobbit, pretty sure that's the UK. Probably on the back of Lord of the Rings too. With my tail between my legs, I made for Drury Lane to find some pity pastries before making for the hotel, lest I magnetized any more misfortunes ahead of my evening performance. Now I'm spread eagle. Is it a single word? Spread eagle's a single word. Now I'm spread eagled? Yeah. On my freshly made bed, wallowing in self-pity and guilt. A photo of a cliff opening out into some Yosemite view sits on the wall like a captionless motivational poster. Success, it starts with one big leap, I add. For whatever reason, Kismet, my first girlfriend's cat, slinks into my mind. A fair name for a cat upon reflection. You need to add those spaces here. A fair name for a cat upon reflection. Does each of a cat's 9 have its own fate? I don't think you even need to put in lives there. Does each of a cat's 9 have its own fate? I was witness to at least 2 of them. The first was at the mercy of my Corolla's tire. Lucky escape. The second was at an airborne volume of Vonnegut's works, at an unfortunate trajectory hurled in my general direction for breaking its owner's heart. I heard Kismet ended in the maw of a hungry Doberman not too long after, so it goes. Maybe refer back to a lost 7 lives. It sort of felt like you were building up to being like, oh well, so it goes, so much for the other 7. That's kind of what I was expecting. Why the cat, though? For whatever reason... Oh dear. I don't know if I'm happy with for whatever reason, but I'm trying to think of why. Really? Only journalism spaces them? Really? Oh no, it's conflict! I don't want to tread on Sean's suggestion. Keep in mind though, I have undone something else up here. Here, I'll undo them. These are Sean's babies, so I dare not tread in territory that is not my own. Yeah, no, I'll undo them. Also, does Euro need a capital E? Probably. You got European here. You need to keep it consistent throughout. Now, I'm not so happy with for whatever reason. It's okay to have disconnected thoughts. But they do read a little bit weak to the reader. Can you think... that can link the 2 ideas? If you don't have a link between part A and part B, it's sort of wasted description for this. Like, we go to the effort of seeing the cliffs and imagining the motivational poster, and then it's kind of like, but don't worry about that, it has no relevance to what I'm going to talk about now. It kind of undoes it a little bit. My M's, my poor friends. I'll leave your M's in peace. But now questions of fate are bubbling away in my mind, brewing up some flavour of existential crisis. What if fate is real? But the majority of us are fated to be just average. It's an unpalatable concept of reality, so it's probably true. There are an infinite number of average Maxims out there in the multiverse. Maxim the average accountant, Maxim the average bricklayer, Maxim the average computer scientist. All beige beings. Fate implies a promise of novelty, of adventure, and of star-crossed romance with Cordelia DeWitt, but no, the second half to It Was Meant to Be is merely modest, monstrous, monotonous and mediocre. At least a pastry is a choice. I sink my head into my freshly fluffed pillow and nibble on a chocolate eclair. Maybe I should be Maxim the average pastry chef. A glob of cream squirts out onto my face. C'est la vie. We've had the fake questions here as well, and my suspicions around the universe being nothing more than an illusion of consciousness are all but confirmed. The poster reads, "The world's traveling circus, after all fun for the whole family. Life imitates consciousness, or consciousness begets life." It's a bit thick and it's a bit abstract, but it plays in with the Piccadilly Circus, so it fits. Then we have now existential. Questions of fate are bubbling away in my mind, brewing up some flavor of existential crisis. What if fate is real? This is a declaration of the sentence, and then we get this afterwards, so I think it's okay to have them back to back. However, this doesn't seem to fit. It's a cool little story, but as a unified whole, yes, I know the Muffin. Do you know the Muffin? He lives on Drury Lane. That's right. I gotta show this Muffin Man. Muffin Man used to be my nickname, like very early middle school. Painful memories, because I was a bit fat. But yeah, this is the Muffin Man. It's a traditional nursery rhyme. I've never seen this before, but Wikipedia tells me that this is the case, so it must be true. I don't know what it's doing there. This section here has some cool micro stories. But I wonder how much of a cohesive whole it forms. So far, we've had some very cogent sections where all of the not my contra buttons. Did we summon Sayaka? Where's Sayaka? Where is Sayaka? Oh, okay, where the Muffin Man apparently lives. Oh, here it is. Sorry. With my tail between my legs, I made for Drury Lane to find some pastries. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I completely missed that first part. Now he's spread eagled on his bed. Cool. Um, every section so far has had, very good, very good. Oh, of course, it comes back to Shrek. It all comes back to Shrek. Every story comes back to Shrek. It's like 6 degrees of separation, separating every human on the planet. It's 6 degrees of Shrek. It's the same thing, basically. Hmm. It's interesting. So I just made a comment here about it's the first section that feels like it's not serving a direct purpose. It's good writing, and they're nice stories, but what's it doing? And as Ernst Herringbone says, the micro stories here are just a fragment of my aimless writings, so they don't actually need to be in there. Oh dear. Maybe what this serves is like a link between the here and the now, which is probably what comes afterwards. Oh. Let's put a pin in this and we'll come back to it a bit later and maybe have a think about if it's justified or if you can cut it out and just have it run a bit smoother. It's not that long, so maybe we can keep it in. The hotel phone rocks me from a sugary slumber. Maxim, I didn't expect you to be here at this hour, croaks Stanley Forward. I'd like this on the front, please. Maybe not that far front. You can? If you put croaks Stanley Forward, Maxim, blah 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 blah. Then mind you call? Ah, you funny bugger. Look, Maxim, I got good news. Can we? I mean, we very quickly remember who he is from I Got Good News. So, oh, it's his agent again. Can we get a little reminder of who this guy is? Like, a beat later, we realize it's his agent from the Good News, but it couldn't hurt just to reintroduce that a little higher up. Hey, Pumpkin Pie Addict, hello! Welcome to the stream. Those paragraphs are, I went to the bakery, more or less, yeah. And even though the cat story is cool, life is pointless, and I'm waiting for a phone call, like, it is maybe a bit redundant. Maybe we can have a think about chopping it down a little. Knack and Snapu. It's chat box. It doesn't matter if your spelling's all over the place. You realise he's been overcharging me all these years? After a nervous pause, I add, well, you're a sellout. All theatre booked. I think probably hyphen for that? From beyond the receiver, he sucks on a cigarette. What did I tell you about the review? Richie Rich is a buffalo and I am the oxpecker grazing on his ticks. Oh, well that's positive. Same line. You fucking bet it is. I was worried about this one, Maxim, to be honest, but... comment there. But looks if you've done it. Looks as if you've done it, so that's fine. Well, you know what they say, behind every good show is a good agent. Or it puffs out a smoky cough. So we eventually realize who it is again. So it doesn't do here to be like, hey, it's his agent here. You don't need to be that direct at the front here. And by that I mean, my suggestion before was to put in a marker that it's his agent. But you don't need to go so far as to declare him as the agent again. You can probably do it with a little dialogue tick or something, and you've got the grounds of that going. But I think your reader is probably not as familiar with this character as you might be as an author. So, and because of the distance that we've had them from the start of the story all the way here, which is now 8 pages, I'm gonna say 2.9k words. Oh, so close. 2.8. 2.8k words. So we've had that much time between the first and second interactions with the character. So just a little reminder in something that's clever and subtle. So Pumpkin Pie says it's a bit he said, she said. I'll comment on this when I read down to the end, and it ends very soon. Because I don't want to suggest one thing and then contradict myself a bit later. Let's keep reading. Thor puffs out a smoky cough. If you wanted you to set my deck, I just ask. Now I'm gonna start looking for more places to put the show on. You go woo that crowd tonight, Maxim, and I'll find you some pretty pennies to lace your pockets with. Roger. Oh, and Maxim, don't worry yourself about the Van Oppenheimer review. If Fine for everything, my dear boy. Stanley wheezes a little cough. Roger Dodger, you fat codger. The phone clicks and I'm left feeling a bit uncertain. The Teppan may only fit 80 or so, but a full house is a full house. Leaving me indebted to his grace must be the new step in the Van Oppenheimer stratagem. The optimist with me, as pasty and shriveled as he may be, says that this is good news. This is within me. The realist says mischief is afoot. Nevertheless, I think I've earned myself a fun-sized bubbly from the mini fridge. The bottle goes pop, squeak, glug, glug, glug. That's nice. I like that. That's a really good suggestion, BBA. I like that idea. Is it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? What's... let me highlight the breaks in this. Break number 1, abstract. That's an image. That's abstract. Image. Probably this. I think this may be a good portion to... Good point to add a little section where the reader becomes privy to maxims maybe PPA is right, not so much in the structural sense, but more so in the expectation of what this phone call is about. I think it happens quite quickly and ends without... it feels like it's relieving a tension that's not there. The revelation of this scene feels as though it is a reliever to a tension that is never quite there. If we take a moment to establish a moment longer, really, because there are whispers of it here. It may create a bit of emotional tension or stakes in the lead up to the good news. It's quite an abstract comment, but I feel like that may actually make it stronger. Excuse me. Have a think about that. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Really good point. That kind of dark shadow. Dark shadow. I meant to say cloud, like a cloud looming over his head. The threat of being ousted from his job, or yeah, as you said here, I think that would add a really nice sense of tension that this would then relieve. Without the tension, it feels not unearned. It just feels as though it stumbles from one thing into the next without it being having its own presence, so to speak. Okay, now we have a very defined section break. Good, good. Oh, excuse me. I'm yawning all tonight. Ugh. I think I might stop at about 11 tonight. I'll have a bit of a shorter stream if it's okay. Turpin's dressing room is a converted bathroom in the back of a converted church, once used to convert free people into theo slaves and real slaves into free people. A gaudy mirror still hangs on the wall, but a chair now sits where the clergy used to make their daily offerings. Some big head is signed by name on the collateral wall, T.M. Smith 91. Poor odds they're still in the business. I'm already suited up for Father's theatrical funeral, but sod hanging around with backstage Bryce. I'd rather sit with Maxim the Reflection than dodge spit flying from Bryce's piffy mouth. So we've got the lisp going on there. Italics. That'd help you. I'm curious about the wonky prison tat under his eye. It's apparently a snake, but it looks like a cucumber. Rumour has it that he got the lisp after a rival gang tested out a car battery on his tongue. Come to think of it, for a one-man backstage team, there is an awful lot of moving around going on out there. Backstage Bryce is like a stagehand, I'm assuming from his name. Obviously, my rabid fans have breached the stage door and have turned on Backstage Bryce. What if it had happened to that one zealous dowager that turned up to every performance of One Man Oedipus? A knock on the door causes Maxis and the Reflection to startle, and Maxim, the real, to skip a heartbeat. Maxim, are you still in there? Oh god, he wants to talk to me. Yes, thank you, still doing vocal warm-ups, thanks for checking in, good. That was surprisingly easy. I do my consonants for added effect as I listen to his footsteps fade off. Trying to create literary genius in my absence. PPA, I think you might be too late. We've already got literary geniuses here. We've got Ernst Herringbone, we've got Atrider SG, we've got yourself. I'm here too. TTLACC is lurking. Everyone here is a literary genius. Thought so, yeah. I just didn't want to say it out loud and embarrass myself. Is that a very big space? Yes. By George, what a crowd. Is it a notepad in the front row's lap? A Gangtown squad, obviously. No, no, no. Not at all. Lyrebird's literary geniuses. In the same way that, like, Lady Gaga has her monsters and Queen Beyonce has her queens? I don't know what they're called. People who like Beyonce's. You are all my literary geniuses. Does that make me sort of king genius? I don't know what. I blame you, Pumpkin Pie Addict. This talk of geniuses. By George, what a crowd. Is that a notepad in the front rower's lap? That lady over there, that's the Margaretty? Margaret. Margaretty? It's Margaret. Come on, Lyrebird. With the names, come on. Axton, I can pronounce that. Wait, they're in the fourth row on the aisle. It's Cordelia DeWitt, by fucking George. I begin with a short movement piece where I play the role of the Congo River and flow around the upright casket. I'm touch thrown off though, as the coffin isn't in its usual spot, slightly askew. No matter, under the warmth of blue stage lights, I'm caressing Father's metaphorical pinto while trying to steal an eye at Cordelia. Perhaps she had remembered me after all, never too late. I've got my father's face on, but on the inside, I'm beautiful, liquid anxiety. How I've missed the old stage rush. Doing a solo show is a bit like anesthetic. One moment you're terribly aware of the mysterious eyes on you, and the next moment you're in tears. Literary and literal. We have the literary eggs which Liar sits upon. What a litter we make. Oh god, that's such a good mixed metaphor. Just imagine like the eggs cracking open and all these puppies with their heads coming out, and there's me as like this weird lyrebird thing over the top. Sounds like an LSD dream, like a dream you'd have after you've just had a lot of acid. What a horrifying dream. Um, by George, I begin with a short movement piece. Now, would you... would this be stronger? Would this be stronger if we were to have a more traditional it's showtime kind of narrative where we have the character hype themselves up, experience the anxiety, walk on stage, describe a bit. I sort of feel like it's too quick at the front. That if you spent a bit of time building up the scene a bit more, it wouldn't feel as though it's kind of removed, like one step removed from what's going on. Little gems of wisdom into our screeching mouths. I don't know if lyrebirds make impressive nests. This is what I get when I Google lyrebird nests. They're like spindly kind of hollow things. Here it is collecting blue stuff. Yeah, it's like a sort of hollow thing. Are you thinking bush turkeys? They make mounds. What a little shit. Yeah, this guy here. This is a bush turkey mound. This used to be a garden, and now it's just blur. With this bastard in the middle of it. Classic bush turkey. What a dick. Good stuff. It's a single swim kind of situation, or a fly or die sort of thing. I push you out, you'll take flight and form beautiful narrative wings. Wonderful. Yeah, I feel as though like no, I think it should be like this, where you expand out the start of this play here. Otherwise, it sort of feels a bit short. I'm not sure. I know that the crux is coming up really soon. This one here. So let's read and we'll push on. Yeah, Bush Turkey is king. Yeah, he is the king, absolute king of his mound. There you go. So Ernstine explains the biology of those eggs. That's really cool. I like that. Medicine entry test. Huh. Neat. Was that UMAT? Or GAMSAT? But yeah, that's a really neat fact. I didn't actually know that about the bush turkeys. I thought they were just particular kind of dicks. One moment you're terribly aware of the mysterious eyes on you. It's not teary too. Call me Susan if no pet's not teary too. I can feel it. This has been no lag. Bad lag. Jeez, yikes. But no particular reason for it. Should be okay now. They really should shat on the hardness of their eggs. I give Cordelia a forlorn stare and say my final lines. Now I stand before you, my father, my blood. Here, yet a wall. Ooh. Well. Well then. Here, yet a wall still stands between us. What is blood? It cannot be the intersection between love and the physical, for neither were there. It cannot be a legacy, for I have no torch to carry. Probably a good moment to... Also good to consider that he's about to give a dialogue-y about his absentee father. Perhaps this would be a stronger, more emotional delivery if Maxim took a pause to remember his father once before stepping onto the stage. I know it may seem a bit sort of tawdry doing that, but it kind of hits the nail on the head in terms of solidifying the emotion behind this piece. There's a lot of thoughts that are going into his delivery here, which I'll get back to. But having that emotional touchstone to go back to might be really good as well. It isn't due to your affection or family. It isn't family. No, you are not my blood, as I am not your blood. No birth, no certificate, no chromosomal affiliation makes me your legacy. I am Tawny Tanneberg. I am not your son, and yet here I am, inextricably tied to you, the inseparable tie of family. I'm here where nobody else is, here to bury you, and yet I don't even know what you look like anymore. I wouldn't know your face from a stranger's, but here I am. Your son, a stranger, your blood. No, I can't bury you, a stranger. I must know your face as it is now. My last memory will not be of a man who disappeared. I will know you as you died. I will take off this lid, look upon your face, and know you for the man you are today. And to my surprise, and the audience's applause, I throw open the coffin lid to find Richard Van Oppenheimer's limp body fall out onto the stage. Lights down, exit stage right. I've been framed for murder. There's a lot here I don't want to change because even look, as an editor I can go through and start to maybe clean that up, but I don't feel like I know what to touch here. And in another sense, because it's spoken word play style of narration, I think it's actually all fine. Up until here, I'd like you to break out of the monologue here and interject with a description of where he is on the stage, what state the audience is in, etc, etc. Give us some ground so that the reveal hits harder. Because right now it sort of pops back in and we're left to deal with some very quick the ending piece here. If you want this to retain its quick, sharp, short delivery, then I feel like it needs to be grounded a little bit here, back into the into the monologue, and then this. I think that's how you'd end it. But I don't really have much more to say about that. I think it's I don't think you want to do too much more with it. Unless you guys feel like it has a particular thing it's missing. I quite like it. I quite like its direct nature. Hello? A Euro something accent either greets or curses at me from the other end of the line. Yes, hello. I met you earlier today, Piccadilly Circus. You were advertising the circus. A clown kind of circus, not the "we only sell tickets during business hours" callback. No, no, about a job. We spoke earlier about a job. I like that job. Thank you. The headlights approach from down the street, illuminating the scratchings of vandals on the plexiglass window. I spy one entry that reads "criminal" with a 4. The headlights probably project the label onto my forehead. For Christ's sake, I should have just stayed at the scene. I managed to laugh. Oh, the actor, not so busy now, are we? No, I've decided to change of pace. I can start tomorrow. The car stops across from me, headlights beaming, and engine humming. It's M15. 15. It's MI5 come to pack me away. No, it's one of Bryce's gangsters come to offer me shelter in return for my kidneys. No, it's... What, have you murdered someone or something? What's the rush? No, why would you say that? I have a very pressing telephone bill and a will to work. Just tell me when and where, and I'm your man. It was a joke. Yes, of course. So how about it? The ringleader sighs before I hear the creaking of a chair. Hold on. Shouts out to someone else. Lou, I've got a client on the phone and he wants a job. Any objections? A voice calls back, but I don't capture what it says. I witness half of the dialogue. No, I've never heard of him. Yes, yes, Lo. Tomorrow. Okay, hold on. He speaks back into the receiver. Are you allergic to face paint? Not that I know of. He says no. Yes, I'm on the phone with him. Okay. The rest of the conversation blurs out as a car door thuds shut. From in front of the car, a silhouette is walking towards me. A beer bottle on the floor of the phone booth catches my eye. Some cigarette butts float around midway, what is probably urine. Half full or half empty? I decide against it. I'm innocent, but then again, what if it's a syndicate henchman? For the sake of my valuable organs, I grab the bottle and add the figure come into view. As he comes closer, I see he has no uniform, just a shimmering denim jacket. It's a punk, now past his use-by date, but still holding onto a dream. Is it one of those nice I only stomp coppers punks, or a skinhead gangbanger? Occam's razor or Murphy's law? Murphy's law or Murphy's law? Murphy's law, maybe. The figure comes to a stop. If that's wrong, by the way, just tell me and I'll get rid of it. The figure comes to a stop and rummages through a pocket. He's getting his gun out. I know it. This is it. The Bacons figured out Bryce is a more likely suspect, so the family has come to take me out. Except not. The man pulls out a cigarette and waits, presumably for the phone booth. Or to abduct me. Time will tell. Okay, you're hired. I need you here at 8 sharp tomorrow. Office is behind the big top. We'll be paid in cash and... You'll be paid in cash and have shared board in a caravan. You can bring one suitcase of stuff. Any questions? I don't take my eyes off my potential murderer. No, none at all. Thank you. Very excited to join up. Very excited. Thank you. Is it all? Sure. And click. A lead weight lowers itself onto my mind. With my head against the wall, I cradle the phone to my chest like a rigid baby. Bottle of piss and fags sloosh in my other hand. Beyond the red bars of the phone booth is my next problem. Moments pass as I consider my escape plan. With a well-aimed shot, I could cock him in the head with the bottle and make a dash. He looks fitter than me though, so that could be a risk. The amber liquid inside is probably noxious enough to blind him for a bit. That might buy me some time. I'm looking at him and he's looking at me. Oh, wait, he's looking at something behind me. Pointing to me and shaking his head, an urgent tap-tap-tap. Percusses? Gently tap with a finger or instrument. Cool. Didn't know that. The window rattles my heart. A plexiglass-styled voice asks through the door, "Evening, mate. Mind if you step out for a chat?" It's a copper. Of course, a bloody copper. His spindly moustache says he's been on the Air Force since before ABBA infected the airwaves. Oh. That's all good. I don't have any particular thing to say about this, actually. Here is where we understand that it's a phone booth, down the street, phone booth. In some ways, read this. Lights down, exit stage right, I've been framed for murder. 4 lines, hello, a Euro-something accent. And as soon as you read these 4 words, the whole scene kind of falls into place with the expectations of what you think of as the story. They all trickle and coalesce into something. We don't strictly need to know, in my opinion as an editor reading this story, you don't strictly need to bash the reader over the head that he's in a phone booth. I just kind of got it instantly from the hello and an accent on the other end. This tells you so much in such a short space of time, and with the comedic timing of everything, it's perfect how it all fits together. I think this is a fantastically done scene in terms of how it connects with everything, what's going on. What can I suggest to change? I didn't feel like any one part was lagging down, dragging everything down. From in front of the car. You could even just go, a silhouette is walking towards me. From in front of the car is a bit redundant. A silhouette is walking towards me. We assume it's from the car, I think. But then we have the problem of a silhouette, a beer bottle. I sort of feel like we need to understand his thought process before he starts down this sort of garden path kind of thought. So here we probably... Before we then turn to solution number 1, the bottle. That may help the reader come to terms quicker with what this whole scene here means. Otherwise, it may be a bit tricky to figure out. A silhouette is walking toward me, or towards me, either way. For instance, this doesn't make sense if we don't have... If this doesn't work unless we have a solid understanding of the motive to play with. It just feels a bit out of place then. I'm innocent, but then again, what if it's, i.e. the man, a syndicate henchman? For the sake of my valuable organs, I grab the bottle and either figure coming into view. Gotta change the tense there. Now, syndicate henchman, remind me, Ernst, did Maxim have a run-in with a syndicate? This seems to be the first time I recall any sort of mafia slash underground gangster network being at play here. I don't really get why he feels as though it's gangsters coming for him. That's the one question that I have. So my first... So a silhouette is walking toward me. Let's go here again. My first impression of the scene is that Maxim is on the lookout for copper, but instead we get this gangster. Who is he really worried for / about? I don't really get it. Backstage, Bryce is rumored to be involved in some sort of gang. It's mentioned in about 2 lines before the show, probably means more meet earlier. Oh, okay. Yeah. Where is it mentioned here? Backstage, Bryce. Now the next... Yeah. Okay, cool. So you mentioned before, because it's so comical, almost throwaway, His gang affiliation seems somewhat incongruous. So maybe flesh this out beforehand before we get to this scene. And that way we're trying not to reconcile the Bryce we know with the Bryce in this scene. Cool. Thanks for clearing that up. I'm gonna push down a bit to where we left off. Or is there anything else I can suggest? I'll read a little more. Maybe we'll call it quits at the end of here. This is the policeman. Sir, he adds, I put the phone back in its cot and slowly open the door. Officer Moustache gives me a once-over. Looked a bit ill in there. What are you up to tonight? He takes a second look at the bottle in my hand. Christ, he thinks I'm a drunk. I raise the bottle to give him a good look. Don't worry, sir. It's just piss. I can see that. Had a bit too much tonight? No, I mean, it's urine. The words leave my mouth as smooth as gravel as I realize the implication, but it's not mine. I met with a furrowed brow. For all my years on the stage, the improvisational actor within me flees like a fart in the breeze. Regardless, sir, it's all a misunderstanding. Besides, even if I were drinking, which I assure you I am not, it is within my legal rights. You can replace those with hyphens or em dashes, but it's okay with commas. The constable looks visibly sick. Right. Well, why don't we start by putting the bottle down? I think you need a bit of a breather, mate. Go on, just on the ground. I oblige. In the corner of my vision, I spy the punk. He gives me a disgusted shake of the head. Good. Now, all I'm doing is just checking you're good to find yourself home tonight, alright? He motions behind me. Looks like you were a bit unsteady there in the booth. Were you calling a cab? No, I was talking to the circus. His face tells it all. I'm the loon of the night, righto. I interrupt. No, really, I'm an actor, and this midget ringmaster at Piccadilly this afternoon asked me to come work at the circus. All truth, officer. He nods so long as I dig and dig and dig. After clearing his throat, he continues, how about coming with me for a while, sir? We've got somewhere for you to rest up for a bit, and then we'll find you a way home. That sound good, sir? I'm probably London's most wanted right now. No, thank you, I'm quiet. Come on, sir. He interrupts and gestures towards the punk. This man's waiting to use the telephone. In a moment of mental dissociation, adrenaline, and body fluids, I make my escape. The events transpire in photo montage. My hand finds the bottle. A stream of the bottle's contents, possessive. Find the officer's face. My hand finds his baton. His baton finds his forehead. My eyes find the gleeful eyes of the punk. My feet find the pavement. I find myself running for the first time in a decade. Whoa, that escalated. Maybe have a one-line zinger to end this scene. Feels like it sort of cuts a bit short, and it's deserving of something if it's a bit more sort of... Now we end with a more refined kind of ending, just one line or something humorous. I think this is all fine. I don't feel as though I can suggest too much here. Nothing, at least, that we've been dealing with before. Actually, we've only got one more to do. One more page, so I might do that and stop. I'm just trying to think of anything sensible to say. The list items here are okay. We've done the list item before, but it was quite different now. Because this is a sequence of action that we're prepared for and ready to experience, it reads a bit different to the colon semicolon listing that we had to describe Piccadilly Circus. I like that. I like how the same structure used two different ways has two very different kind of emotional impacts. Nice. Among the serene nightscape of Hyde Park, where oaks of yore sway and critters crit, where starlight glows and rabbits flit Lays a wheezing beast of sweat and grit. Where starlight glows and rabbits flit, lays a wheezing beast of sweat and grit. It's me! The grit in question is not that of brave character, but of gravel lodged in one's arm after a failed hard right. My lungs are kazoos, and I'm face down on the dewy grass because my primitive brain remembers something about there being more oxygen down low. I can see the headline now. Failed actor kills rival, assaults hero policeman with own urine. Maxim the idiot. You are done for. Maxim the detective asks, but who really done it? Backstage bias is the best access to the coffin, but why? I doubt he even knew Richard Van Oppenheimer, and a slimy, as slimy as the man was, Richie Rich was hardly one to engage in activities of the mafioso. There was intent. Of all places, the body was set up to appear in my show. That shows intent. Who hates me enough to frame me for murder? Okay, so a handful of people. But enough for murder? Unlikely. This contradicts itself. Maybe you can get rid of that. There was that skinny dramatique with the knitted shirt who I owed a penny or two for stage hire for Baghdad. Ha! Dad. But no, this was murder. Premeditated cold-blooded murder of the first degree. There's a plan for everything, my dear boy. Good God, would Stanley kill someone over a shit review? God needs a capital G. Was that what he meant? Surely not. I've had many a shit review. What are the rumours of Hilda Bollinger's husband? It's bold enough to wine and dine a petroleum magnate's wife, but to return for desserts? Fatal? But why the coffin? I don't recall who Hilda Bollinger is, but that may just be because I've had a bit of time between the first and second sessions here. So I'll let that one sort of slip. That's probably on me. There are no answers, but one. I'm innocent. But due to the night's stupidity, comma, I am guilty until proven otherwise, as far as the law will be concerned. Whoever orchestrated the symphony of sorrow intends to have me framed and locked away like a Picasso. So what would the smart man do? What is Maxim the intellect solution? Why, there is only one, of course. Join the circus. Wait for the investigation to clear your name, write a hit play about your experiences, spend the rest of your time sipping exotic wines on the Spanish coast. Could you put, instead of wines, could you put, what's Isabel's family making? Port or sherry? It's sherry. Did you mean sherry? Yes, that would be quite good indeed. I'll call it, Diabolus Ex Machina. Maxim the intellect indeed. And then we're done. That is the end. Is it the end of the total section here? 5k, 5.4 words. Or is there more to come for this part 4 of the story? Regardless, I don't think there's too much here that you need to fix up at the end. There's some really solid descriptions here. My lungs are kazoos and I'm face down on dewy grass. This sentence here is wonderful. It's really nice. Really good stuff. So, yeah, congrats. So it's a really nice way to end this. And I think, yeah, no, I'm really impressed. It's really good writing. Really nice. And it's engaging too. That's what I like about it. It's this nice mixture of good writing and good story. So, and sure, there are some things to work on as well. You'll never get a story without an edit or without someone coming in and being like, hey, maybe just tweak these things here. Maybe the scene prior to the play could set it up really neatly because it's quite short. You can definitely expand that and play with it, make it a bit more of an emotional piece, and the build up to it as well, especially. Also consider introducing a bit of a dark cloud hanging over Maxim that goes beyond his existential crisis and his family mumblings. Introduce maybe that sort of financial element, the financial stress. That might be really cool. Otherwise, I think we're done. So yeah, thank you, Ernst, for sending this through. As always, it's a pleasure to work with your writing. I feel very honoured to work through this, and I think it's really good to show as well because we're all. I mean, I learn heaps when I edit a story like this. Just all the sort of little different ways of looking at writing. I'm really impressed as well with that, with the listed elements with the semicolons done in two different ways. That's really cool. Yeah. Okay. I need something to edit for Sunday. Actually, on the note of Sunday, um, I need to drive my parents out to the airport early, and I don't know what time I'll be back. Let me ask tomorrow, and I will update over Discord whether or not my Sunday stream will start at the same time, or if I'll push it back to some other time. I will let you know. Stay tuned to Discord. But yes, thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you, everyone. Your presence is always very much appreciated. Oh, my chat thing stopped working. Sorry, guys. You've been talking since 11. And says, this is where Act 1 ends. Okay, cool. So that's good to know where it ends. Hmm. And says, thank you very, very much, Leo. Hope you enjoyed. Definitely enjoyed. And good that you found the suggestions helpful, too. Nice one. UTLAC asks, did the lag delay the stream so much that the final chat messages aren't appearing? Yeah. Weird, right? They're just not here anymore. Look, I'll type something into... Huh. Isn't that weird? It's just not coming up. There we go. Rip. Nice. Yeah, it just needed a refresh. That's never happened before. Yeah. Ah, bizarre. Anyway, cool. I'll wind down there. Thank you for joining me, guys. Sleep well if you're in America. Wait, no. It's me sleeping, about to sleep. If you're in America, it's probably the day for you. Do you have some sort of questions in there? Just gonna get back to you. Oh, I did, but I've forgotten. I'll get back to you when I remember, okay? Good. Alright, thanks guys. We'll see you soon. Stay tuned for Discord. I'll tell you what's happening on Sunday, okay? Nice. Thank you. And we'll catch you next time. Bye. Bye.